Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Fan Appreciation Month here on Reaction and Review. Tonight, guys, I'm taking a look at a thriller from 2005. That movie is Hard Candy. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, I really don't know a whole lot about this movie outside of its most basic, premise. The premise for the movie is, it's the story of a 14-year-old girl who's going to torture a man in his 30s who she suspects of being an internet sex predator because, well, he was flirting with her on the internet. Basically, imagine a vigilante version of To Catch a Predator, and to me, that sounds like a fantastic premise, and I'm hoping for this movie to be absolutely amazing. However, thanks to this series, I do know that having an awesome premise does not always guarantee an awesome movie. Time and time again, I have seen movies which have had an awesome premise be completely kneecapped by something like terrible writing or horrible acting or some other minor thing. Again, I'm hoping for this one to be good, and the only way for me to find out if it's going to be any good is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Hard Candy. Swear to God, this actor is really kicking off just that total, he's really just giving off that total, pedophile scumbag vibe. Which, frankly, for his character, totally works. I actually am kind of sort of digging it just slightly, you know what I mean? Wow. Ellen Page is able to play creepy incredibly well. In fact, that was really awesome. I actually kind of liking her character a lot, man. I just kind of wanted to share that. There's no way in hell he actually used part of his safe combination for his screen name. What kind of half-fucking retarded simpleton makes part of any kind of combination or password a well-visible screen name on the internet? I'm sorry, guys, that just smacks of absolute stupidity. But since we're talking about a pedophile here, I guess that kind of makes sense because I don't think pedophiles are all that bright in the first place. Just saying. Wow. So she actually made good on her threat to pour bleach down his throat, rather spray bleach down his throat if he screamed for help. That's awesome, man. You know, guys, this actually is a really nice. Attention to detail. He's laid out on this table. He has his wrists tied. Apparently, the knots are incredibly tight. Because they did up his hands and made them purple. That's fucking awesome. It's those little details I absolutely love, man. Hang on a sec here. Now, I totally understand that she just got done castrating him. She just got done, snipping off his balls, and she's talking about how easy it was. You just snipped them off. Don't you still have to do, stitching or something in order to, stop the bleeding and let the healing begin and all that other happy horse shit? If you're trying to do this in, a professional medical way, wouldn't you want to stitch it up before you go, oh, that was so easy? I guess it just seems a little off to me, I guess. You know, folks, I totally understand that this scene is supposed to have some level of tension, but right here is sort of the thing. This man, who's in his 30s, has been outsmarted and brutally tortured psychologically and physically by a 14-year-old girl. The man is in no position to make any fucking threats and make a single one of them stick or even make you feel tense. To me, I guess it just doesn't work with his character to attempt to threaten her at this point when she basically is psychologically, verbally, and physically kicked his ass from one end of this film to the other. Just saying. Well, guys, that was Hard Candy, and wow, that ending was amazing. Alright, let me shut the movie off. Alright, I think it's time that we talked about the movie itself. I guess before I get into the actual review, I should say, at the very start of this video, I sort of mentioned a little bit of apprehension because the premise for this thing was incredibly sound. It just sounded amazing, and I kind of feared that it would be another one of those movies that had an awesome premise and then stumbled as it was going through. I'm going to assure everybody right now, it does not stumble. This movie is absolutely amazing, and now I have to try to explain that. I think the best place to start with is writing, because guys, this story is just fantastic, because it really is just the story of Haley stalking and hunting Jeff. And you at first believe that it is just simply because he is a pedophile. He is a man in his 30s who is, flirting with and hitting on and picking up a 14-year-old in a coffee shop. You would kind of think that would be her only reason to want to sit there and absolutely torture him in every way possible. But no, she actually has a secondary motive, and I'm not going to spoil what it is. You guys have to watch this thing and find out for yourself. And when you find out about that secondary motive, and as things begin to start piecing themselves together, you want him to be tortured even more. Which, trust me, guys, it honestly would have been enough if he were just a pedophile and he were beaten for 90 minutes. I would have been totally happy with that. However, though, adding in this extra motive in there, it makes you really want him to die even more, and I think that also is aided with the acting, but I'm not up to acting yet. The dialogue here is fantastic. The dialogue is incredibly realistic, and I really do like how Haley's character's got this, how she has this awesome wit to her, where basically as she is talking, when she isn't trying to be incredibly intimidating, and believe me guys, when she has to be intimidating, it will send a chill down your spine. I never really thought I would say that about a character who is played by Ellen Page, who is this little short, skinny thing, but just to sort of kick over to acting for just a second, when she has to play intimidating, Ellen Page does it with absolute gusto. Now, back to writing. So when she isn't trying to be intimidating, Haley has this awesome wit which sort of adds an extra dark comic spin to everything. And frankly, the only other character who has any real noticeable depth, actually the only character who needs any extra depth, is Jeff. And the writing for Jeff makes him come off as just such an absolute scumbag that it makes you totally relish in him being absolutely tortured and beaten, both physically, psychologically, verbally, and technically, sexually abused as well. I'm not going to actually, I think I might have mentioned it earlier. Doesn't matter. Still, he is just that character you want to kill. In fact, if I actually were to see a character like fucking Jeff, I'd probably kill him with my bare hands. I wouldn't spend a whole day doing it like Haley did. But you know what? That also is just because I'm a guy who likes to be quick when it comes to beating people. Anyway, again, guys, writing here is absolutely solid, and our characters are built with plenty of depth. You are going to absolutely adore this thing just solely on the writing. However, what seriously brings the writing to life is the awesome acting. Now, I do have to mention that this movie really has a cast of 5 people, of which 3 of them are bit parts. One of them I don't even think had any dialogue. And that is the clerk at the coffee shop. He might have had a single line of dialogue, which might have been rattling off a price or something, but I'm not totally sure. I don't remember if he had any dialogue. He is that much of a unmemorable character. I do happen to remember that he was there though. And then our other two are Sandra Oh, who's really in the film for only about a minute, and well, she doesn't really add a whole lot to it outside of the fact that she saw Haley walking around on the roof earlier, and that was really all that you need to know involving her. Is that there is now technically a witness to all of this. It's just kind of like a detail thing. And the other person is Jeff's old, flame, who shows up at the very end and just calls out his name constantly, which is barely acting, but what the hell, it worked out. So that leaves us down to our two leads, and they both do a fantastic job. And well, I mean, I stated this earlier. I mentioned earlier involving Ellen Page about how Ellen Page just absolutely makes her character work, because when she has to be funny, she's funny. When she has to be, when she has to be frightening and also intimidating, my God, it works so well. And as for the other lead, what the hell was his name? It's got to be on the back here. Patrick Wilson. Patrick Wilson plays Jeff, and I'm going to tell you right now, Jeff's character on a writing standpoint made him come off as a slight scumbag, and Patrick Wilson's acting absolutely made him worse. He made him the ultimate douchey shit. He made him the ultimate douchey shitbag fucker that you just want to see die, and it works so well here. So yes, guys, I will have to say that our two leads were perfectly cast here, and they put on a fantastic performance. Now, camera work here is really good. I'm just going to tell you right now, there are a couple of shots where the camera is very, very shaky. You can clearly tell it's being done with a handheld, and it doesn't quite look as polished as everything else. Because everything else looks very, very steady and stationary and what have you, and the camera movements look very, very polished. So when they happen to have those couple of bits of shaky cam, which you would almost think would be used more to pump up, would be able to pump up tension or something, they really though just kind of seem to be there if they couldn't get a larger camera in that part of the house. And while I'm on the subject of the house, I would like to talk about the set design. I absolutely adored Jeff's house, just basically the way that it looked, especially since it looks really good on film. Because every single wall is either a very strong primary or secondary color. In other words, it's either red, blue. There's one wall. No, actually, it was a backdrop in his studio, which is yellow, and they make fantastic use of all of these single color backgrounds. It looks really, really good. It absolutely does. And that kind of helps out with the camera work, because guys, because when you have a set which looks that awesome and it has colors which are that vivid and which are that prominent and look that good, it seriously does sort of make the whole film look better, because you have better things to film. So yes, guys, camera work and set and design both kind of work in here. So both of those are great. And one other thing I would like to talk about, and I know that I mentioned it earlier, has to do with makeup. I have to mention this. They in a couple of minor instances went with little, minor, nothing details, which probably very few people noticed, but I did. And I absolutely love finding those little, small details. Example would be, and I mentioned this one when Jeff is tied to the table, and his hands are purple because he's tied by the wrists. And it really does kind of sort of look as if the circulation has been cut off. It was a really nice touch. It was a real minor touch, but I really liked the way that it looked. And there are a few other instances of just those little nothing details. You see them and you just go, nice. That is if you notice them, and I know that not everybody is going to notice them, but I did. So, and music. There is very, very little music here, and most of it is like techno, house style bullshit, and I'm not a real fan of that. However, though, seeing as how there's about 4 songs in this entire movie, and nothing else. Nothing else is scored. Everything else is just dialogue. And believe me, guys, that total silence absolutely improves this film 100-fold. It really does help boost all of the tension which goes into some of these scenes by having absolutely no music. And I know where other filmmakers would probably have thrown in like pulse pounding, hard hitting music there, and it would have absolutely destroyed the mood. The filmmakers here knew that less is more in terms of music. So okay, yes, even though I'm not a fan of the songs which were chosen, I'm happy that there's only a few of them and that the rest of the film isn't scored at all. So yes, this, guys, is probably one of the only times I'm ever going to say that a fucking soundtrack is awesome, because there's almost none of it there. Okay, so when all is said and done, am I able to recommend Hard Candy? Well, guys, the very fact that I have been gushing over it for probably the last 10 minutes or so should probably tell you, yes, I highly recommend this movie, and if you can find a copy somewhere, if you can find it to buy, if you can find it to rent, if it's on like Netflix or Hulu or something, check it out. This movie is fantastic. This is probably one of the best thrillers I've seen in a long goddamn time. It really is just that well made from top to bottom. Everything, guys, from writing to acting to camera work to also, like I said, those little details. Everything here is fan-fucking-tastic, and I loved this thing. Now, because this is Fan Appreciation Month, Hard Candy came off of the Amazon wish list. The person who sent it in is a friend of mine, and that, of course, is Kari. Now, Kari has a brand new, she has a new YouTube channel. Actually, it's a channel with her and 2 other friends of mine, and it is a Let's Play channel. And since it's one of those new, channels, I can't just tell you to go right to it, because it's basically youtube.com/channel/whole line of pointless gibberish bullshit. So you guys are gonna have to go to the link which is in this video's description. Go over there, check it out. I know for a fact they have Let's Plays of I believe it's Fatal Frame and Resident Evil. Swing over there, check them out, and let them know what you think of it. And Kari, thank you. This thing was absolute gold, and I'm going to tell you right now, I was kind of sort of wary, going into it. Simply, because, as I stated earlier, there have been so many cases in this series where I have found movies with an awesome premise that are just completely hobbled and kneecapped and just turned to shit because of minor problems. This thing borders on cinematic perfection. I loved this movie, and again, Kari, thank you. Guys, please go and check out her brand new YouTube channel. And with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.